Hi, it's Miss Yaros. I hope you're happy to be done with testing. And we're going to go over our Thursday lesson and assignment. So you'll have 2 things total that you'll need to submit for me. One of them is due today for full credit, and then the other one is due tomorrow. And again, as long as I see that you've started either assignment, I will give you attendance for the day. So our lesson for the day is cell theory. And this lesson and the assignments is exactly the same as what we're doing in class. I'm trying my best to make remote learning very similar to in class. So you will be needing to take notes. You can take them either on a Google document. So if you'd like to take on a Google document, you can go ahead, pause this video, and go ahead, start your own Google document and get ready for that. And I would recommend, if you plan on taking notes that way, minimize this tab and make it take up half your screen, and then minimize the Google document and have it take the other half so you can type while I'm reading. Or you can do it on pencil paper. So just as I did here, you can take a picture of your notebook page and attach it to your assignment for turning in your notes. So this is all the notes for the day, plus we're going to make a foldable at the end. So first off, what is a cell? What is a cell? Last year, at the end of the year, you would have gone over what is a cell and a few things about this concept, but we did have, that was during COVID, so you might have missed a lot of that. Anything highlighted, that's what you'll need to write. So as you can see here, I wrote cell and the definition. A cell is a basic unit of life is the basic unit of all life forms. So anything that is alive has at least one cell. Bacteria has one cell. Plants have trillions of cells. Humans, we got a lot. Particularly, we have human body average has 37.2 trillion cells. That's a lot. I cannot even comprehend that number. And cells are the building blocks of complex life. They're essentially the building blocks of everything. Every single one of your organs is made out of cells. So you might be thinking, if you remember back to last year, wait, I thought atoms were the smallest unit. They are. You are correct. Atoms are the smallest unit, made out of protons, neutrons, and electrons. But they're not alive. Yes, atoms are the smallest unit of matter, and they form elements, and those elements actually form individual parts of the cell. So atom after atom after atom link up, and they start to form the structure of the cell. Cells have millions of atoms. We can't even view atoms with a microscope. We have to use very technical equipment to try and see them, but it's not the same as a microscope. With a cell, you can easily see it using a microscope. You can easily see it, at least most cells. So, levels of organization. You're going to write this down because it is highlighted. So, title this part, Biological Levels of Organization. First, we start off with cell. Again, it is the basic unit of life. This right here in particular, this is a muscle cell. So muscle cells end up making muscles. Those muscle cells, when they stack on top of each other and they start to work together by pulling and pushing and helping us move our body, that forms tissue. So tissue is like part of an organ or part of a body part. So if I skin my knee while I'm running, and a bit of my skin comes off, that is skin tissue. When all of my skin, that's one organ. Part of your muscle, or if let's say you're eating some chicken and you take a bite of chicken, that is tissue. Sorry to ruin your dinner. So that tissue forms organ. So here's a bicep. That is a fully functioning organ and all the tissue used to make it work. And then an organ system, that is all organs that are related to, those are all the organs that kind of work together to fulfill a function. Like all the muscles of your body help with movement. They help move your bones and move your whole body. All your digestive organs, such as your mouth, your tongue, your stomach, your esophagus, those help bring in and process food. So those are all the organs that work together. And then finally, let me get out of the way. We have organism. Organism is anything, single unit that is alive. So bacteria is an organism, a lily is an organism, and Justin Timberlake is an organism. You are an organism. So how were they discovered? If they're so small and so you can't really see them in your day-to-day life, how do we figure out what they were? So the first person to notice them was Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He created a simple microscope in the 1600s. So this is his extremely simple microscope. We have a lot better microscopes nowadays. And he observed single-celled organisms. So he looked at pond water and other little bits of nature that he was curious about. He put it under his rudimentary microscope and saw these itty-bitty little things moving around. And they weren't just moving in one direction. So he knew that it wasn't just a current or the breeze moving them. They were all zooming in different directions. So he decided he's going to call them animalcules. This is not highlighted, so you don't have to write it down. Next, after Leeuwenhoek, Robert Hooke was the first to observe individual cells in a piece of cork using his own version of the microscope. His was a lot better, and he took a piece of cork, which is plant material from the bark of a tree, and he looked under it. And he saw all these little compartments here, stacked on top of each other. And he decided those look like cells, because back in that time, there was a lot of monks, religious monks, and they would live in little things called cells. Those were their rooms where they went and they wrote and they read their Bible and they went to sleep. You could also think of it as a prison cell. So he saw just a bunch of little rooms, bunch of little compartments with little stuff in there. So he saw these little dots and these little dots in this little cell room and called it a cell. Finally, Theodor Schwann was the first to recognize that cells also made up animals. So Hooke saw that they were in plants, and Schwann saw they're in both. So these are an example of animal cells. I think they're cheek cells, human cheek cells. They're not that pink. They used a dye under the microscope just to see them a little bit better. And then these are plant cells. These are not dyed. They are bright, bright green. That might be a new spring leaf right there. We'll talk more about what those little green things are a few units from now. In using his discovery and the work of Hooke and Leeuwenhoek, he decided to create the cell theory, and that's what we're going to base our foldable on. So the cell theory, extremely important. This red arrow, it's important. Very. You will see this multiple times on the CBA, likely you'll see it on the STAR. And in general, it's extremely important biological concept that you'll see again in 9th grade. First component, all living things are made of one or more cell. They're made of one or more cell. So bacteria only have one cell. You have around 37.2 trillion cells. Plants have cells, bugs have cells. You get the picture. 2, cells are the basic unit of structure and function in all organisms. Cells make tissue, tissue make organs, organs make organ systems make bodies or organisms. And then finally, all cells come from pre-existing cells. So they don't just poof into being. We don't eat a pizza and then all of a sudden we have a lot more cells in our body. No. My skin cells are constantly regenerating. They're constantly dying. Sorry to gross you out again, but most of the dust in your house is dead skin cells, either from your pets or from you. It's dead skin cells. They just fall off, and they're constantly replaced by the next layer down growing up. So those cells are constantly dividing and replacing the dying cells. They do that by getting bigger and using the nutrients that we eat to grow nice and big and store all this material, and then one day they just bloop, become their own 2 sister cells. That's one of the reasons it's important to have a very healthy diet and to eat your vitamins and vegetables so that your cells are functioning properly and able to replace themselves. That's why people that don't have good diets, as they're getting older, or maybe they're smoking, those cells just aren't as healthy and they kind of start to get a little droopy and they age much quicker than healthy people. or people that eat healthy, I mean. So here's just a quick video example of cells dividing. This is a model. This is not under a microscope. There it is. When you were conceived, the first moment that your existence was possible, you started as how many cells? Pause if you think you want to think about it. How many cells were you when you were first conceived? You were 2. Your mom gave a cell, your dad gave a cell, they joined, shared information, made you, and then, just like in this video, those cells started dividing and dividing and dividing and dividing into a little blob, and they started to organize into body parts, and you as you are now. Okay, so that was the lesson. By now, if you want to pause this and go back, sorry I can't move myself, you can. By now, you should have finished your note page. These pictures here, you don't have to draw them. I find it boring just to see a piece of paper with a lot of writing on it. So I typically draw just to remind my brain, hey, this is what that writing's about, and that helps me find the information I need quicker when I need it, such as during a test. But you don't have to add any drawings to this piece of notebook paper or your notes that you're submitting through Google Docs or Picture. But your assignment is you're going to make a cell theory foldable. Cell theory is such an important topic that we need to go over, so I'd really like y'all to write it down in your notes and do this. So here was my foldable. I have it right here. This goes in my notebook. And again, you can do this on paper or digitally as well. Sorry, my cat. So here's my title page. All I did was fold a piece of paper into 3 on top of themselves. If you want to do it digitally, you can make a 4-slide Google slide. The first slide is going to be this title page. So you're just going to put in big letters, the cell theory. That's it. Okay, first, all living things, again, are made of 1 or more cell. So on the first fold of your notebook, let me find it again. On the first fold of your notebook, right here, you're going to draw a simple model of an animal or a plant, or both, as I did, and kind of just draw little dots in it, knowing to yourself those are cells. You don't have to make it as neat as mine. You can make it much neater than mine if you're an artist, like it sounds like some of y'all are based on your About Me slideshow. But it doesn't have to be like this. You can copy me exactly if you like giraffes and you like trees, or you can draw a dog or a cat or a bear. It's up to you. As long as you have the definition right here, or the first component of the theory, all living things are made of 1 or more cell, then the middle part, middle section, that's just going to be a cell. So you're going to write the second component, and then you're going to draw a big old cell. You could like scale it up so this cell is enlarged right here. And all these things that I have drawn in there, all these little wiggly things, those are called organelles. You don't have to know that now. We will go over exactly what they are and what they do later, this probably starting next week. You can try to copy mine, but if you just want to do a bunch of squiggles and make it look kind of similar, that's fine too, as long as you know it's a cell. And then finally, your last flap, 2 cells dividing. So this shows it grew really, really big, and then all of a sudden it replicated everything inside. It made a copy, and then it eventually split. So it's cloning itself. You're going to write the third component of the theory, and then you're done. That's it. So this means stop. Don't go clicking through more slides if you're looking at the Google slide. So take a picture of this and send it to me. Or again, if you did the Google slides, turn in those 4 slides along with this assignment. So I'm going to have a separate assignment for the Edpuzzle that this goes with, and And that's just to let me know that you watched the whole thing. And then I'll have another assignment to submit your note page and your foldable picture or Google slide. Good luck. And if you have any questions, again, I check my email often. Just send me an email or a private comment and I'll get to you as quickly as possible. Thank you. Bye.